What's up guys, welcome to the Vectorize. My name is Jonathan and today I want to talk with you about Blender, why I'm adding these tools in 3D in my skill set. So let's get started and I want to share with you my experience with it so far. Recently I've been studying Blender because first of all, of course, the reason is that I got a lot of inspiration from Arcane TV show. I think that mixing 3D with 2D is getting a very nice quality of work. And imagine that if this movie being renderized in 2D, it would take years, of course, but they made this using 3D alongside with paintings, which is very great. I was thinking about to add 3D with paintings style, you know, in the designs. Here it is the art station by Ian Sculpt. He makes a lot of 3D sculpty things using Blender, as far as I know, which is very great, you know, to study. And yeah, you can not do only sculpting characters, but you can study scenes like this. This is the Klaus movie, and I need to tell you, once you use the 3D tools, you can add in your workflow to grab the light and shadows. If you are artist and you try to create everything by your head, it demands a lot of time, you know, and knowledge about, you know, real lighting effects. And when you start to use the 3D rendering, it's gonna make your work very easy to do that without creating by your head, which will create, you know, a lot of time lost basically. When you use the 3D, it's gonna help you a lot, and that's the point that you need to consider why it's good to learn 3D. So if you are considering to study Blender, I need to tell you, it's not going to be very easy to get used to the navigation of Blender, and that's why I'm changing a lot of the interface. I mean the hotkeys, the shortcuts, because it is very hard to get used to it. And I'm using here, let's say by standard Blender, you need to use the middle button to rotate, but I've changed this to right button like Unity 3D, which is very easy to navigate. And one thing that I'm considering to study a lot, and I'm doing that, it is to study simple stuffs in low poly. I don't need to take advanced exercises. I'm just experimenting, get used, and know the modifiers, what you can do to simplify your work, to make it very easy, right? And when you study, you can start to learn more about the shadings, how you can use the shadings, because it can be very a nightmare if you look. It can be very hard, but it's not very hard. Once you see some tutorials and try to do the same way that they are doing, you can get amazing results. Of course, you have a big workflow to make the 3D happen. Of course, since the modeling, the sculpting, textures, shadings, rendering, composing the scene with lights, yeah, it's a big deal, but it's really worth it because you can experiment different compositions. You can achieve awesome and great results with lights. Things like, if you try to do that by using freehand drawing, you cannot experiment and change this light easily, right? And some movies like Klaus, you know, this movie here, they try to use, you know, the 3D engines to understand where the light will be applied. And I think that 3D will be much more part of the 2D world. And if you are, you know, studying 2D, you need to study 3D as well. I think it's gonna be an essential tool to get as a skill essential. And to share with you things like I've been doing so far, I will just open here this bucket. My suggestion is try to get used to the navigation and try to learn the simple tools as possible. Don't try to grab a tutorial that it is very hard. Try to get a tutorial that is about low poly. Low poly is gonna be very easy for you to get used to it. Yeah, this was a design that I did. I've lost my texture, so I don't know where I've placed it, but this is the shading and it's rendering this in real time. One thing that you guys can study as well, it is how you can compose the cameras, because let's say that you want to make a drawing of this thing, and if you try to do by yourself, let's say this shading here, it is insane. It's very hard to do that manually with 2D stuffs, and that's why it's so important to get used to it. And yeah, as I said, I've been changing a lot of the shortcuts to make my work faster. Just to give you an example, just like the groups here on Blender, you know, the collection here, it is very hard. And let's suppose that I want to select this group, so I've changed my hotkeys to select this by clicking. Then I can select, because if you try to select, yeah, I want to select the collection here, it's not going to select the same way like Photoshop or Affinity Designer does. And it's a kind of a lot of experimentation. And as well, you just need to know a few tools here, which is extrude, inset, and other things, and how you can manipulate, you know, the modeling to be very precise. And of course, if you want to go to a direction like sculpting, it's gonna demand more time, because you need to understand how to sculpt things in an organic way. And also, let me open here another project just show you guys what I've been doing. Recently I've been practicing more how I can, you know, make a sculpting effect over this design. So yeah, it requires time to learn to handle with that. And also, one thing that is very important, it is about the UV. UV is something that it is quite hard to understand, because you need to unwrap these dice as a cube. And of course, there are a lot of advanced things that you feel like, okay, it is very hard to understand, which is a UV editing. But of course, by practicing, you're gonna get better skill with it. So try to learn little by little. Like, okay, I wanna learn here how I can model this in just as a cube. You know, just use simple geometric forms to do your work. Just use cubes and cylinders. Basically, this design here I did by following a Brazilian channel that is called Insight Z, from a great friend of mine, Marcos Brito. So yeah, I'm still learning how to finish this. I need to, you know, to make this in a clean way, because later, if you have plans to make this in, you know, good shadings for games, you need to optimize even more your design. But in my case here, for now, my situation, it is quite simple. I am using Blender to do some of, you know, game artworks. Basically, I did here this scene based upon that, you know, image very far away. And basically, I've managed to create this design here, and I can handle with great details, and I can grab this and bring to my work. And I'm really in love with everything and all the possibilities that we can have by using, look how nice is this. Has a shading, great shading in glass, which creates this effect, you know, for this gen. And yeah, I need to really tell you that I think this is the future that you guys can start to consider to learn, and how you can use in your work in the future. I don't know when, but when I start to get more used to this tool, perhaps I can bring some tutorials here about Blender. But for now, I'm very newbie. I need to be honest with you, and I don't have a lot to say about Blender at this point. And this is my experience that I'm having. I'm studying a lot just to get used to the workflow, and I want to bring this much more to my designs. And that's it for now. I hope, you know, very near future I can bring some of the designs that I did so far with Blender. And I definitely think that you guys can give it a try to learn with it. And if you want to learn about vectors, you can go here in this channel, because we have the Vectorize Club where you can learn a lot with Affinity Designer, with me, of course. Guys, thank you so much for your time. I wanna see you in the next video, and take care. Bye bye. See ya.